Well, good morning. I hope you had a great Tuesday and you're having a good day today. We do have some progress to show off, I think. I spent a lot of time on Monday and on Tuesday trying to fix some of the problems, so to speak, that we ran into on Monday morning's stream, which is a bit of a rough start after a couple weeks off. And I think I got them fixed. And then I spent most of yesterday fighting my object viewer system, and not even the system, just fighting the object rotation scripts. And it's not perfect, it's a lot better than it was, but it took a lot of fighting. So, anyway, we might talk about that a little bit. So, you can see that the kind of starting view of the scene has changed from usual. Usually it's much closer to this center block on the tower, which is a little bit like the starting screen on the stream, for example. And I like that close view, and I like the tower centered on its own little block of landscape for lots of reasons that involve changing things after a couple of years of doing them one way. That's not possible right now. And just probably won't be for the demo. So instead now the tower sits in one corner of a large empty square. So you'll see here in a moment when we press play why we've got this sort of drawn away view. So I may have broken something right at the end of the day yesterday because I thought, oh, here's a good idea, and then changed it and then didn't test it because I was just really quite worn out. But let's see what happens. Let's see if we can actually get through a build of the tower this time, and a switch in time, and get some of these sorts of things working, and we'll maybe have a chance to show off some changes. So let's give it a start and see what happens. First of all, it takes a long time to actually enter play mode, so we may have a peek at the profiler at some point this morning and see what's going on there, and see if it's just a temporary problem or if it's going to be something where I have to tear the whole thing apart. So there's still a few things to work on as well today, including the saving and load system. So we've started up here, so we can see now that we're now sitting on a much larger block of landscape, and this is why we're pulled so far away now. And we're pulled so far away because kind of having this whole isolated block of landscape first is kind of the ideal I'm going for. I'd like it to be a smaller block, but since the dynamic sort of sectioning system is no longer functioning, and it never really worked particularly well anyway, we're going to this more kind of pre-baked sectioning system, which has its advantages, but the disadvantage was that so this is 4 tiles, I ran the seam of a tile straight underneath the tower, and that's why it looks funny like this. It looked better as a square. So, and I like showing off the kind of different layers of soil that we have. For those who are used to reading sections and stratigraphy, it shows a hint that there's something else going on under here. We've got these lumps and bumps and fills. So, yeah, so, there's a few things to show. So, we've got all these strange empty marks in the topsoil, which I think eventually will go all the way down. We've got a little bit of a roadway. We can see some bits of ruins sticking out underneath the ground. Overall, I kind of like this, but I don't know, this more distant view isn't maybe ideal, but maybe for the demo it will work well enough before we tear everything apart again. It's just this darn landscape's difficult to build. Okay, so what should happen is if we click on a piece of the landscape, so we should, if we run our mouse over the ruins, see it highlight, and if we click on a piece of landscape, sigh, we get a crash. Nice. Okay. So I did break something right at the last moment. Great. Lovely. So what was supposed to happen was the landscape was supposed to dissolve, and then the camera was supposed to zoom in nicely, and instead it's crashed. So let's go take a look and see what that problem is, but that means we gotta reboot. So what a joy. I wish I had tested that, but I think I would have pulled my hair out yesterday evening when I was just finishing up and had really beaten my head against the UI system that I was working on. So let's start back up again, shall we? Fingers crossed and everything, and it still didn't work. Oh well, we'll get there. So bear with me. It takes a long time to load it back up again. Here we are. Okay, so what did I change? What was new that I changed? Well, it's right here in the scene manager. So let's look and see. Stage manager, not the scene manager. Let's go take a look at that really quickly. And we'll strip out the one thing I made the quick change to at the end of the day and then didn't test. And that's this little bit right here. So I put in a bool that said frame stage after topsoil, which means you click on something, the topsoil moves away, and then you kind of zoom in. And obviously that's not working. So let's just comment it out. And hopefully that's the only place where we have it. There's another place in here, but yeah, here we go. That was the one we need to remove right there. And let's go grab the previous one that I had commented out. And put this one back in because we do need that one. That frame stage command works. That was my one change. We'll see if I still broke it or not. So we're going to have a little bit more of a manual process to zoom in here on this. Let's let it go through there. Okay. So let's just confirm our settings. It's just the way things go sometimes. So I have frame stage after topsoil, and that is not set now. All right. Ugh. Okay, let's start up again. So I want to work on the camera controls as well. Those are definitely wobbly. I mean, they're kind of adequate, but they don't feel good, and I'd really like the interaction with the game to have a decent feel to it, or at least not be noticeably poor. That's something we're not going to work on right now. So let's zoom in a little bit. So this is the problem of zooming, of having this done like this. All right, because really we should be zoomed in here, but you see how that's, you know, that's closer to our normal start, but it just looks kind of confusing with these cuts in the way. I don't know. Oh well, okay, let's start up again. There, see, that's what's supposed to happen. Soil is supposed to go away. It's supposed to build up the wall. Now here's a fun thing. Remember this stair turret? I fixed it. So it stays in place now when it's rebuilt. That's good. It shouldn't actually end there, but it's okay. So I fixed that, and that's been a thing I'd been meaning to fix for months. Okay. So here's my viewer. It works a little bit faster now, so that's nice. Not loading up the picture because we have a problem. That's our problem. Okay, so we're running another error, which is something I hadn't fixed. This is a null reference exception I can fix really quickly, so hang on with that. So it looks like there's a couple things I didn't change. Okay, we're in our inventory manager, and it's looking for the sunlight. There we are. All right, let's give this another shot. I did a lot of work. I did the equivalent of weeks worth of work yesterday and the day before because I had a little bit of an unexpected breather at my day job. And because of that, I really made a lot of progress. But also, of course, that means that I tore things apart and I didn't remember what I was doing. So let's try it again. we really should take a look at this profiler to see why this initial frame takes so long to load. Wrong direction. Yep. Got to work on that. All right, let's zoom on in. Good enough. Okay. So the landscape nicely dissolved with a shader-based dissolve, which is a fun thing. Staircase stays in place. West window rebuilds. Okay, so there we go. That showed up. So this object viewer, we should see it kind of reset to this view every time. And what had been happening is as we were, it should reset, I say. It probably won't, but as we rotate the camera around the scene, we would end up with like a view of the backside of objects. But now you see it stays in place. So if we rotate again, when we go back to that view of the scene, yep, see we get the same view of the object over and over and over again, which is excellent. And we also don't get a pop in our lighting, which is pretty cool. So all of those are really good little changes that have been bothering me for quite some time. And what do we have here? Another object. That object, in case you're curious, is this, which is a capital. So I've got to do something about the rotation system though, because it doesn't quite feel like it moves the way it should. But I was having so much trouble with the system. Oh crud! With the system. What I've got now is far better than what I had, but obviously we're running into some gigantic show-stopping problem again, and it freezes up all of Unity. So I don't know what I've done. Some days are like that. Let's kill it. Start again. Oh dear. The problem with those big show-stopping bugs is that I get nothing in any of my logs about what has been happening. And I can't seem to reproduce them accurately, so I'm really not sure what's basically causing some sort of memory race, memory leak. Anyway, let's see if we can get through one whole build of the tower. But that's just the way development goes sometimes, as I'm sure everyone who's tried to build anything knows. Let's try it again. Okay, so there's one. Landscape goes away, reveals ruins. That's all very pretty. That's great. Turn the corner. This, because it's the tutorial, we do have a little bit of a lighting pop, but well. Let's build a bit of window now. Great. That's come up here. That's been gathered. Let's do a Gothic arch. There we go. We finally framed the scene. Okay. Let's build the boring build because that allows us to go up to 3 stories. The other build is only 2 stories, and I haven't actually bug checked that. See, we have respawns on the tower. Check this out though. Once we get through this stage, if we can get through this stage, we'll see something really fun. Yeah, look at all that. What's that? There we go. That was the thing I was going to show off on Monday morning. There's a problem in the shader here that it's not built. We should have some more geometry over here, and it hasn't built it. I gotta figure out what's wrong with that. But what's happened to our medieval tower? Obviously, some problems. So we are obviously not in the Middle Ages. We have a medieval tower but we're definitely not in the Middle Ages. So what's going on here? And if we had the day and night cycle on and it was nighttime, you'd be able to see little lights on all of these different antennae and little lights in here. And what are these big things? They're digital billboards, and I've been working on the digital art for that as well. So that's been a bit fun. So it all kind of glow, especially if it was evening. But there's something going on down here. What's going on down here? Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway, that's something to do with the dissolve shader. But anyway, there's something, look at all those antennae. There's something going on down here. There's a flame just standing there and something blinking, so obviously that means click on it. We got a coin here. Let's choose a word. So now we have artifacts and fragments, so that's fun. Let's open the portal, see what happens. If we look through that, we can see that a lot of our bits and pieces have gone. So if we press spacebar, we've time traveled and we've gotten into a new part of the game. You can see section through our landscape here, and there's a whole part of the landscape missing. That's just because I haven't assigned it yet in the inspector, but we're also getting some sort of interaction going on here, which means we can zoom in. I think we can zoom in here. I need to get my, told you I need to get the kind of interface working a little bit better. But yeah, so we've got stuff going on. So we could keep building if we wanted. That's not good, of course. So anyway, we're running into a problem now where we have these multiple objects here, and every time I tap on them, the object should fill the scene, and in fact it has. No, it hasn't. So we've got a problem with the build again. Well, this is as far as I had hoped to get anyway. But we should, when we mouse over these, we should get a preview image showing up, and then we should rebuild those piers. But it looks like we're having a problem even interacting with this, and I think I know why. So one problem is that now that we've changed times, we've got a layering system here, and there's actually 2 time periods appearing. So if we go back in here, if I press the space bar, if I press the space bar, you can see we're in one period. And I press the space bar, we jump back into another. So there's an issue with the layers. So what that means is that objects that appear in one time period are meant to be in one layer. Objects that appear in another are meant to be in another layer. Objects that appear in both are in both layers. And we only have, yeah, that's not going to work. We only have our kind of mouse interactions. Something going on wrong with our layers here. This meaning our mouse is not enjoying things, and then we're running into a crash again. We've got an argument out of range here. I'd love to know what that was, but we've got another crash. So obviously it's still wobbly. It's the layering system that really needs some continued work, but it took 2 days just to get the system rebuilt well enough for that. I'm just going to go grab a quick look in the console to see what that last error was. So let's go look in the crash. No, log reports, in the editor's log. So what have we got here? It's got a problem here on the object placement script line 1010. What else have we got? Here's our argument out of range. That's a problem with the white dots manager. Usually that's the end of a cascade of other problems. That's what we see keep coming up here. Yeah, we've got a problem with arrays going on here. That's okay. What other problems do we have? Well, I obviously moused over a bunch of things. How many of these? Lots. Let's see how far we can go to get up to maybe a different kind of error. Oh, there's a lot of them. There's probably thousands of them, because these were running all of these errors once per frame. Let's run up to the top of this. This is just Unity starting up. Let's keep looking through these here. So the inventory manager is giving, this is just executing a query. So this happened when we picked up the window tracery piece. So that's fine. This is just reporting. Now we've got a problem on 1010 in object placement and 1331 and 1349. Got all sorts of little problems. Well, these aren't problems. That's supposed to happen. Okay, well, while we start the system back up again, let's go look at the object placement 1010. See where we've got some trouble. So these are also the joys of making a lot of progress over time, is that the system falls apart in new and unexpected ways. So I've got use debug going on one of these, so that doesn't help. Which one, we don't know. But one of the objects I'm looking at has its debugging turned on. I'm going to look at the tower first. Okay. There we go. That's got its use debug on. We don't want that on. Okay. So somehow in our we've got a little UI. This shows up when you mouse over a part of the building that you can rebuild with different options. It gives you little white dots on screen which show you how many options you have, and it shows you which one you're on as a kind of a way to let you know that there's more to explore here. It's kind of like showing you that you have dialogue choices in a dialogue game. Well, we've been running into lots of trouble on this, but kind of sporadically trouble about it wants to put too many dots on, and I'm not quite sure why it keeps doing that. So there's something obviously that it's not clearing out, but I don't know what it's not clearing out as well. So we shall see. It's got a pool of little dots it's drawing from, and I suspect that's causing part of the trouble. But since I can't reproduce the error consistently, Who knows? So, usually it's not a complete crashing failure. But like I said, I can't usually consistently reproduce the bug, which is a problem because I'd like to know what line we're running into. So, let's zoom in on this. And start rebuilding and just see what happens. So let's go over here. We should get this. So I've got no trouble whatsoever in my white dot manager. That's fine. Still no errors showing up. I'm gonna get one in this. Okay, we've got no errors showing up. This is just a report from our database. Okay, no problem showing up there. This probably won't show up until we are past the tower rebuilding. See, our white dots are showing up fine there. Yep. And now that we've chosen that one, we should show an empty dot showing that we would have two dialog options, but we've locked out a branch. Okay, that's still showing. Things are still running. We only ever have one white dot on that one. Zooming out. This has just told us that it's unlocked an area. It's showing us that we've completed one. Okay, this is just telling us that we've queried this artifact. It's just we've updated our database. Open the portal. The portal tells us that it's ready to travel, that it's loaded everything else in the background. Okay. It's called its unlock. Things are fine. Let's zoom in. This is where the white dot trouble began before. And let's see what happens. Okay, that's given us one dot. Hey, look at that. It rebuilt it this time. This is what I mean about not being able to reconstruct it. We should have a build effect, but that's a layering issue. See, so there's no trouble at all showing up in this, which is kind of sad. So if we rebuild the piers here, yay, I've got two options here now. So let's do that. And this should be the last one. And now we've got more things to rebuild. So this is the farthest we've ever gotten, and we're still having no trouble at all with our white dots. That rebuilt. Again, we need to look at the rebuilding script. I should have two options here, and I do. Still working. So that's all working nicely. I think I should have something showing up here, and it's not. So we'll find out what happens here in a minute. Here, let's make a really funny arcade. Okay, so we got furniture showing up. That's really nice. Still having zero problems here. Ah, there we go. That's a problem. But it's not telling us it's a problem. We should not have a billion different things going on here. But why is it not telling us we're into trouble. See, now we've got lots of trouble here. This is just happy to deal with that trouble, though. I bet if we time travel, yep, these have filled in, so I know I've got some layering issues going on there. All these little bits should have been built in, but really we should have, there's all sorts of white dot problems going on here. So let's see. It's otherwise quite well behaving itself other than these dots. Let's go look and see what we've done with our white dot manager at this point. But yeah, stuff's appeared. That's nice. Okay. White dots. Well, let's take a look and see what's wrong with you. Let's go jump into the scene here. Why do we have so many? Where is our white dot manager script setup? I'm not quite sure where that white dot script lives. So let's go do the find reference in scene. You live somewhere. No, it's right there. And these are all referencing the white dot manager somehow. So it does live on the controller, that's nice. Let's go take a look and see what it thinks it's doing. It's only got 2 objects in the dot pool and 3 in the hollow pool right now. Well, I'm going to have to dig into this bit of the system, because it knows it should only be wide enough for 2. But yet it's got all of these dots in there. So the way it picks up the number of dots it should put in each one of these things, if we go back to the game view, here we're looking at it down here. In fact, it should only have one. It should only have one object in it, because there's only one option here. You can only rebuild the door one way. How it determines how many dots should be in is it looks at the kind of uber script for this, which is called object placement RT, which I'll grant you is not maybe the most interesting or dynamic of names. Zoom into something here. Let's go grab not the hold blocks, that's what we're looking for. Stage 2. No, we're already in stage 3. Okay. So this guy. Let's take a look. Wall, door, stage 3, door. That's the one we're looking at. This tells you how many options. So it's this block options, and there's only one object in it, so there should only be one white dot. So I need to look and see how the white dot managers get assigned, because it's clearly not removing dots and putting before it puts them in again. So that's what's going on. And I need to figure that one out. So what happens if we just go till it crashes? I'd really like to see it do its little crash, because it's definitely running into issues. So we got all sorts of windows and things to rebuild, which is fun. I really haven't seen it working this well in a long, long time. Which is pretty cool. So let's, yeah, where's our auxiliary object showing up? So our buttresses should be showing up here as well. And I suspect that if I time travel, they'll show up. Yep. So we've got a layering issue going on here. That's something to have words with this system about. Let's give it a little Norman aisle here. Oh, I should have a window there. Hey, we got our roofs on. That's nice. Let's rebuild the chancel. Yeah, our buttresses really ought to be showing up here. Okay, here's one where everything will certainly collapse. Which type of window do we want? We want this type of window, because then we should be getting another thing showing up here to show that we have more options. Yep. Okay. Very good. I don't know where our roof went. If we time travel, I bet I've got a roof over the chancel. Yep, there's our roof over the chancel. So we've got some layering problems still to work on. And it's now just a matter of building up the clear story. Okay, that's it. That's all we wrote. That's as far as we've got. We've got all sorts of stuff hanging out here. We should actually have some objects to find showing up in here. Artifacts should have shown up, but they didn't, and the system didn't crash, of course. It acted very wobbly, but it didn't crash. And what you should do when you time travel is you shouldn't see a completed church when you time travel. You should just see the tower on its own, and then you should see this. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, I've got some work to do on that. I've got to figure out my white dot manager, and I've got to figure out my layering system for additional objects like the buttresses here. Got to make sure those are appearing, and then I got to stomp on those game-breaking errors that we've got going on, so we can look in the profiler and see what's happening. But otherwise, it's running just happy as can be. It's not even taxing the GPU. So some good things are happening, but there's obviously a lot of work to go. We got to get this bit of landscape to come back in. We've got to get the layering system to work right for all objects, including objects that get built. And we need to chase down the white dot manager. And also this little corner should be filled in. But anyway, it's okay. Because see, once we got this whole thing built, we should jump into another stage. What we should do is we should jump into, we should do a little bit of time travel, and we should jump into a certain century in which this part of the church is standing, but this part of the church is ruins, and then some really complex stuff is starting to happen inside here, and then we get strange ghost people, and then there's a really important artifact to find that unlocks time travel into other periods, and then the next phase of play is hopping through periods and seeing this in different times. and there's just a few little things to rebuild in the different times, but hopefully you get a picture of what's been going on in this place for 11,000 years. And that would be it. That would be the end of the whole demo. It would take 15 minutes, but it would be good enough for a demo. It would kind of show most of the functionality. Hopefully it would be interesting. So lots to work on, but it's kind of there. It's kind of working. We'll see. So anyway, yeah, lots of things to work on. Maybe today I'll have a little bit more time, and then you might see real progress on Friday. We'll see. There's always something to fix. But for now, this is the most complete we've seen it in months, if not a year. So let's pat ourselves on the back, at least for that. Okay, thank you for joining me on today's adventure, finding all the showstoppers. And we'll find more showstoppers on Friday. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you on Friday morning.